Today we're going to be reviewing 1-point perspective. Before we move on to 2-point perspective, it's important to understand the basics. So with 1 point and even 2 point, you want to have a horizon line. Now when you're drawing, you want to draw light. I want to draw dark so that it shows up on the video, but please make sure you're drawing light. With perspective especially, we erase a lot. I'm going to just do my horizon line straight through the center. Okay, it does not necessarily have to be in the center. For the purpose of this practice, I'm just doing that. Same idea for my vanishing point. We'll put that kind of in the middle. You don't have to make your vanishing point so big. I'm making it big so it's visible for you. Now what you want to do is kind of practice making some basic shapes in the beginning. So what I'll do is I'll put right on top of the horizon line actually a rectangular shape. With 1 point perspective, you see your objects face on. So since this is going to be a box, I'm seeing kind of a square or a rectangle for the front of it. Now, since it's going through the horizon line, I'm actually going to erase that part of the horizon line. And again, apologies, my setup, I know when I erase that, it shakes. So I do apologize for that. So now I erase that. Your corners are what converge. These are called converging lines to the vanishing point. It makes it kind of appear that they're going back in space. So I'm going to start off with a corner. And again. Now, if my box were see-through, I would draw converging lines coming from these kind of opposite ones. Notice I do the ones coming that are closest to the vanishing point. If you notice, if I put my ruler here, and if I was to I'll do a really light line, probably can't even see it. The reality is we're not going to need that. So you only have to do, it's kind of behind it or inside of it. So I'm only focusing on the ones that are closest to that make the most sense to converge, okay, back to that vanishing point. Now what you want to do is you want to kind of create your cutoff. I call them cutoffs. Basically kind of the parallel line to your original shape. So it's a vertical line. Your cutoffs for 1 point perspective are parallel to the original edge. So you don't want to do anything like sideways or anything like that. What I do is I line it up and I carefully slide it so it's kind of staying in line with my original edge. And then you draw that cutoff, okay? Any extra lines, the converging line that went kind of beyond gets erased. And the horizon line that kind of goes through it. So we have one box that sits kind of on top of the horizon. Now what we'll do quickly is, a little more quickly that is, ones above and below. So again, start your setup by creating your shape. Right now we're doing the most basic of shapes. We're just creating rectangles. Our next step after this will be to do a little bit more complicated shapes, but for now with review, we want to work as basic as we can. And whatever's closest. So my closest edge is right here. My rule basically is if I draw a converging line and it's not going through it, like this, it's not going through it, I'm drawing it. If I go over here, it's gonna cut right through. It's kind of unnecessary to do because it's just more to erase. So I recommend only doing the lines that you will eventually see. I know sometimes in the beginning when we're first starting, it's confusing and you might do it, and that's okay. You'll just have to erase it in the end. So now I have 3 converging lines. When you have objects either above or below the horizon line, when it's a simple rectangular shape, you'll have 3. In the case when it's on top of the horizon, you just have the 2. So our next step, making our cutoffs. Again, I line myself up right along that edge. I keep it parallel. It can be as short or as long as you want it to be, okay? Oops, drawing that though. Now here's the thing. Our cutoff last time, we only had one. This time, when that cutoff hits the other converging line, see right here? That's kind of your telltale. That's where you're going to cut it off on the other direction, in the other direction, which in this case is the horizontal. So again, I line it up. I start sliding it until I reach that intersecting line. Once I do, I draw that cutoff. I then erase unnecessary lines. It's important, erase your unnecessary kind of converging lines as you go, because when you have, like, if you have all of a sudden like 20 shapes in here and you're waiting to erase, it's going to be really complicated. So erase your converging lines as you go. Okay, on the horizon, below the horizon. We'll do one more above the horizon. Oops, that's a little bit longer on one side, isn't it? Okay. Closest ones first. Number one. Remember, this is above and it's a rectangular shape, so I'm going to have 3 converging lines. Oh, that was a little bumpy, huh? I don't have the best table for this. It's rustic, as they say. I'll try and fix that. Okay, that's a little bit better. So now it looks like it's kind of cool. If you left your objects like that, it almost has this infinite, like going back in space forever kind of look. But as you know, we are cutting it off. I always like to start my cutoffs on the vertical. You can go either way. We'll do it on the horizontal this time if you want. Line it up. It's always parallel. Don't do this. If you do that, it's not parallel. Line it up so that it's parallel. And carefully slide it down to where you want to cut it off. From one end to the other, once you hit that kind of middle converging line, you stop. Right there, that now tells you to go up. Line it up. Don't just kind of guess, because that would look terrible. Line it up and slide. Once you have that done, as you know, final step is erasing. When you draw lightly, it's easier to erase. When you don't have a shaky table, it's probably better too. So I'm going to leave you here. Our next step is going to be doing slightly more kind of detailed or intricate shapes. Complicated is a good word. So get these done now, get the hang of it, and then we'll later talk about more complicated shapes. Good luck.